everybody, it's just Louisa and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a Year 11 Q&A and basically telling you guys how I feel about going into Year 11, because if you didn't know, I'm currently in the summer of Year 10, so I'm going into Year 11 in September. Even though I look about 13 right now because I've got no makeup on, but we're just going to have to move past that bit because I can't be bothered to put makeup on right now. I thought like quite a lot of you guys are around my age, so you might be experiencing the same thing of going into Year 11, or maybe you're like going into Year 10 or Year 9, and this video could be helpful for you in a couple of years. Some of these questions aren't just related to Year 11, so there's some about Year 10 and just about GCSEs in general. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you do, and subscribe to my channel if you're new. And yeah, basically I asked you guys for some questions on my Instagram, which is Floral Louisa. I'll leave it on the screen now, so make sure to follow me if you don't already, so you don't miss out in future videos. I was also meant to be filming this video with my friend Olivia Greenhalgh. I'm not sure how you say your name, I'm really sorry Olivia if you're watching this. Basically when we met, we didn't get around to filming the video, which is really annoying, but I'm filming it by myself, so I can't answer all of the questions because some of them were meant for like Olivia because she's in the year above, so she could answer more, but I'm just going to be answering the ones which I can answer. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. So the first question is from Georgia_Harris_15, and she asked me any advice for revising. I'm going into Year 11 and struggling to revise. So I actually have like an individual video on like my top tips to revise, so I will link that video down below if you haven't already seen it, because they're like my main ways which I revise. However, I'll just quickly talk about like my top tips to revise because I've found a way that really works for me. My top tip to revise is to use revision cards or flashcards or record cards. They have a lot of different names, but this is like the most effective way that I've found to revise, especially for subjects like biology, chemistry and physics. So for example, on one side of the flashcard I'll write like what's the definition of osmosis, and then on the other side I'll write what the definition of osmosis is, and then I can just jumble all my revision cards up and go through them, like read out the question to myself in my head and then try and answer it, and if I get it wrong then I turn it round and just keep repeating that, and eventually it just gets stuck in your head. And you can buy these from loads of different shops, but the cheapest is Home Bargains. However, when I went to Home Bargains they actually sold out of them, which I don't know if they've stopped selling them. Hopefully they haven't, because they're literally like 30p or 40p from Home Bargains, which is so cheap. But I think you can get them in Wilko's for like 70-80p. And I also use the CGP revision guides to help me revise. These are the best revision guides. They've just got everything that you need to know for your GCSE. It's laid out really nicely. It's all in words that I understand. Basically what I do is go to a page in my revision guide and then just take down notes and then condense those notes onto flashcards. It's just a really nice revision guide which I find really helpful to use. So yeah, they're basically my top tips to revise. Like I said, I'll link my revision video down below if you want to watch it. So the next question is from Evie Rose Manning, and she said, do you have like a revision timetable, and if so, please can you share it? Also love you. I love you too, and at the moment I don't have a revision timetable because I'm going into Year 11 now, so like I don't really see the point in doing a revision timetable now because I haven't started revising for my GCSEs yet. I'll definitely make a revision timetable like nearer my GCSEs, and if I find my revision timetable to be effective for me, then I'll definitely share it with you guys nearer the time to my actual GCSE exams, because at the moment I don't have one. And the next question is from Alina Bratwell XX, and she asked me, is Year 10 really hard? I actually have an individual video on Year 10 and what it's like going into Year 10, so if you haven't seen that, definitely watch it. I'll link it down below. However, I did ask for questions before I uploaded that video, so don't worry that you didn't see it. But just to sum things up on like whether it's hard or not, I think it is hard at first. Like the first few weeks are really hard, and it's really difficult to like get back into school because you've just had like a 2-month holiday and then it's suddenly bam, like GCSEs. But as the year goes on, like you get used to it and it gets easier, so don't worry if you get stressed out on the first few weeks. It will get a lot better, and you can always message me on Instagram if you're feeling stressed, and yeah, just just don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And the next question is from Mia.ElizabethXX, and she asked me, do you regret any GCSEs that you picked? I don't really know, to be honest, because I kind of regret taking history, but like there isn't really a GCSE that I'd rather take, because my school don't really do very like creative GCSEs. We literally just do like the bob standard like geography, history. We don't do like photography or media or anything like that. I kind of regret taking history because there's so much information that you need to learn and so much exam technique, and it's just really difficult. There isn't really anything that I'd rather take. So at the same time, if I was to pick my GCSEs now, I'd probably pick the same subjects because there's nothing I'd rather take, if that makes sense. And the next question is from Portia Grace, and she asked me, is there a big change between year 10 and year 11? How do I prepare? Love both your channels. Thank you so much. And I don't really know. I think this question would be better for Olivia to answer because she's experienced year 11 and I haven't experienced year 11 yet, because obviously I'm going into year 11 in September. But from what I know, I don't think there'll be a massive change because obviously in year 10 you're doing your GCSEs, so you just like carry it on into year 11, so you're doing like the same specifications. So I don't think it'll be like a lot harder. However, I think in year 11 like you learn the more difficult things on the specification, because like they save the more difficult stuff for when you're a little bit older. So I think the lessons might get a little bit harder, and also you have a lot more exams and mocks and actual GCSE exams. So yeah, I think a year 11 will be a lot harder than year 10. And the next question is from _Annabelle Rose _ and she asked me, best time to start revising for GCSEs? A lot of people ask me this question actually. To be honest, I don't really think there's like a specific time when you should start revising, because there's not like a right and wrong answer. It kind of depends on like how smart you are. Some people like learn things a lot quicker, some people it takes them absolutely ages to get anything into their head. So I definitely don't think there's like a right and wrong time to start revising, because it's literally different for everybody. And I know that's really annoying for me to say because I can't give you guys an exact time, but that's literally the answer to the question. But in terms of my revision and when I think I'm going to start revising, what I think I'm going to do is after every like week or two, just like sit down and go through everything that I've studied, just to make sure that everything makes sense and that I understand it all for when I actually come to revising. And also I think every few weeks I'll make some flashcards, because a lot of people have told me in the year above that you should like start making your flashcard a few months before you start revising, because otherwise you're going to have to cram it all in and make revision cards while trying to revise from them. But in terms of actual revision and like learning the flashcards, I'll probably like start around like February half term. My mocks are after Christmas, so obviously I'm going to spend the Christmas holidays revising. And the next question is from X_Josie Cole _X, and she asked me, is it any different doing GCSEs in a private or public school? By the way, love you. I love you too, and obviously I don't go to a state school, so I don't know what the big differences are. But what I do know is that if you go to a state school, you don't have to pay to do your GCSEs because the government pays for it. But at a private school, you have to pay to take your GCSEs on top of the school fees. I'm not sure how much it is, but I think it's like a few £100s. And also, if you go to a private school, you have different exam boards. So for example, for some of my GCSEs, I'm doing the exam board iGCSE, which only private schools can take. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm not sure though. The next question is from DaisyT.X, and she asked me, is year 10 a big step up from year 9? So as I said earlier, I have a whole video on year 10, which I'll link down below for you guys to see if you haven't already. However, I would say it is a big step up from year 9, just because in year 10 for most schools you're like starting your GCSE course, so I think it is quite a big step up because the lessons get a lot harder. They did at my school anyway, and teachers gave out more homework, so I think it is a big step up, but you get used to it, so don't worry. And the next question is from Becky Goodsman, and she asked me, what are the best ways to cope with being anxious and on edge inside the exam hall? So in the exam hall, obviously there's not a lot that you can do to stop yourself being anxious, because it's not like you can like chill out in your room and have a bath or something. But just take some deep breaths before you get into the exam hall. Just tell yourself that you're going to do fine, you're going to be amazing, that nothing wrong can happen, that literally what else can happen other than you just screwing up your exam? Like nothing's going to happen, you're not going to die. And then when you're sat at your desk in the exam hall, just take some deep breaths. And then make sure to drink some water regularly, as when you're a bit anxious and nervous you might forget to drink water. make sure to drink as much water as you can to make yourself function properly. And the next question is from xjess.tx, and she asked me, should I start revising at the beginning of year 11? Personally, I wouldn't start revising from the beginning of year 11 because you don't want to over revise and then end up like tiring yourself out when it comes to like actually properly revising for your GCSEs. So I wouldn't really recommend to do it from the beginning. Obviously you can if that's what you think's best for you and if you're like quite a slow learner. However, what I would recommend to do is maybe every week or so just go over what you've done in your notes and maybe write out some flashcards. And the next question is from amy.going, and she asked me, are you going to manage YouTube and GCSEs? Love you lots. I love you too, and I'm not sure, it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to try and do my best. And obviously school does take priority over YouTube when I'm in year 11 because it's obviously really important. So for example, if it's a Saturday and I don't have a video to go up on the Sunday but I need to revise, I'm going to revise over filming a YouTube video. But fingers crossed, I'm going to pre-film as much as I can in the summer so that I won't have to stress about filming when I've got to revise and things. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to upload once a week. I'm going to see how it goes, but hopefully my content will remain good and it's not just going to go like downhill when I start revising, because I still want to produce good videos for you guys, but obviously it's going to be difficult. And the next question is from lady_gaga XOXO, and she asked me, how do you deal with exam stress? So what I'd recommend to do is to make a exam timetable. Even if you don't stick to it, it just motivates you to revise and it makes sure that you don't end up cramming everything in last minute. If you make a timetable like a good few months before your exams, then you're not going to stress out about cramming loads of revision in. And when you're revising, make sure to take regular breaks. So maybe revise for like 30 or 40 minutes and then take a 10-minute break. If you revise for like large chunks of time, information that you're trying to revise doesn't go in properly because you're just revising for too long and you're just tiring yourself out. And also the night before an exam, make sure to get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, because sleep is so important like the night before an exam, because I think getting a lot of sleep can really change your grades, because when you're much more awake, you're just so much more alert and you're gonna answer the questions so much better. Sleep is so important, and I know it's easier said than done and that you're gonna be stressing the night before your exam, and that's normal, but just try your best to get to sleep. And the last question, which I'm going to be answering today, is from Ruby X McPhee, and she asked me, should you do anything during the summer before year 11 in terms of revision? So I'm going to be completely honest, I haven't done any revision this summer, so before I go into year 11, just because I don't really see the point in revising now, because I'm not going to know it in like, I don't know how many months time when I start my GCSEs. So yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't revise in the summer before year 11, but personally I wouldn't. But what I would recommend to do is maybe look over what you've studied in year 10 to see that your notes make sense and that everything's laid out nicely, so that when it actually comes to revising, it's a lot easier. I'm definitely going to go through my files to make sure it's all organised and neat. That is all of the questions which I'm going to be answering in the video. And if you have any other questions, make sure to leave them down below in the comments. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys all next week for a new video. Bye!